Hey, Ambitches, it's me, your fearless leader, the queen
of Ambitchious Land.
It's my chair, not my ass. Hold on. Okay. The queen of Ambitchious Land, Katie motherfucking Boyd. Okay. We have to talk, honey. This is some serious shiznit going down. Things are about to pop off, and let me tell you, my nipples are standing at attention because what is about to happen in the next couple of days is going to change the trajectory of all of our lives, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you what to do during this time and what not to do, and we're going to have a conversation, a serious conversation, because I do believe, because I coach women from all across the globe, that people, if they don't make this shift and jump in the next month, they're probably going to stay mediocre, average, and basic for the rest of their lives. And if you haven't already gone over to the Ambitchious podcast and listened to the installment of Why You Have No Self-Worth, it's my first podcast that I've done in a really long time. Remember, I took the summer off to be a leisurely rich bitch, and I'm back, and I'm better than ever. So I'm here to tell you that Mercury is going retrograde on the 9th of September and will be retrograde until October 2nd. In that retrograde, we also have other planets retrograding, which I'm not going to get into today because it's a whole other can of worms that I'll open on a different day. This is the most important thing at hand. But other than that, we have a crazy full moon that's going to be happening Friday. So Mercury goes retrograde on the 9th. And then the next day, we have the most spiritual full moon of the entire year. And it's going to be in Pisces. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about Mercury retrograde and why this one is so freaking important. I know that I'm like the queen of talking about the retrogrades because it really does affect your life. And we are now what we in the spiritual realm called, we're in the shadow of Mercury retrograde. So we're in the pre-shadow. So it's just starting to bubble. You're starting to feel a little crazy, starting to feel a little all over the place, starting to feel a little confused. You're starting to be like, what is the point of all this? You're starting to go down into that fear spiral. A lot of things are happening for you. And if you're feeling that and you're listening to this video, please, I would love to hear from you about what you're feeling. You know, you can always email me at hello@kbmfc.com if you don't feel like talking about it in a public arena. Because, you know, some things are private. Not everyone's like me and wants to just air their dirty laundry fupa-ness out there to the world. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you listened to my podcast. Did it fire you up? Were you like crazy on the treadmill going nuts? That's what I want to know. Oh my God, I love you guys. Okay, so Mercury retrograde. So like I said, Mercury goes retrograde on September 9th, and it retrogrades until October 2nd. And it starts in Libra, and it ends in Virgo. So we're going to get into that in a second, but I really want to talk to you deeply about Mercury retrograde in general. So a lot of people think, like, they hear the words Mercury retrograde, which Mercury obviously is a planet. And the planet Mercury actually controls all forms of communication. Brittany's saying, yes, I went soft during COVID. Yeah, and I just, like, that's not who I am. Like, you know, I am the villain. I am like Maleficent. I am that person, okay? I'm not stupid. I've been like this my whole entire life. You either love me or you freaking loathe me. And I don't care either way because you know what? If you're not feeding me, fucking me, or financing me, I don't really give a fuck about what you think. I'm here in my public platform to spit my truth. It doesn't have to be with everybody else's truth. And I was just so soft on everybody. And you know what? The bitch is back. The bitch is back. I'm so happy and grateful that you listened, and I hope it pumped you up. So Mercury, the planet, it rules all forms of communication. You're going to have some things coming up for you in the next couple of weeks that are really going to F things up if you are not on your game, okay? So during Mercury retrograde, we are really truly called to stop, okay? So listen to me. We're called to stop and to fully be present. So many of us, including myself at certain points of my life, we're always either thinking about what we could have done better in the past, which causes depression, by the way, or we're future tripping, right? Like what could happen, and I'm afraid, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and la 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 la. And 99.9% of the things that we think, like what if happens, never fucking happen. And then we waste all of our precious life force energy thinking about what could happen, and then that causes anxiety. So Mercury is a time to like slow the fuck down, just like Mercury in the planet in the out there in the ethers. It actually looks like we're kind of going backwards, like we're standing still and we're going backwards, but it's really just an optical illusion. Okay. So what we have to do is kind of be like the planet Mercury and take a stop, slow down, and fully become present to who we are, what the fuck we're doing, where we're going, and what the next phase of our lives are going to look like, feel like, be like, without putting fear into the mix. Like, what if you just woke up and you're like, you know what? I'm going to be the biggest person in this industry, whatever it is. You know, I'm going to be a billionaire or a multimillionaire. I'm going to change the lives of, you know, people all across the globe. I'm going to have an amazing relationship with my significant other. I'm going to have fulfilling relationships with my friend group. I'm going to love what I do on a daily basis for work. My physical body is going to be healthy. I deserve to be wealthy and abundant and have time freedom and all these things, all the things that I talk about in Ambitchious, right? And also to ask ourselves, like, how are we showing up to the world? You know, like I said before, like I turned soft over the last 2 years because I just felt my heart just like broke for humanity. But then I realized, like, I'm actually contributing to the problem of making the world more pathetic and sad and helpless than it already is. And I don't believe the world is sad and pathetic and helpless. The world that I live in is empowered and strong and courageous and brave, right? The world that the 98% of the human population lives in is sad and pathetic and fearful, and you feel like you're Bill Murray's character in that movie Groundhog Day, where you just wake up every fucking day and do the same things over and over again and expect a different result, which is literally the definition of insanity, which, my friend, you are loco 40. Get your fucking head out of your ass and step the fuck up and realize that you have everything inside of you right now to be ambitious, to live your best life, whatever the fuck that means to you. And what ambitious life and being HBIC of your life is totally different than what it means to me, but it's okay because it's our fucking life contracts. Everyone's life contracts are different, right? So how are you showing up in the world? Well, I already said, I'm showing up as the bad bitch that I've always been. And if people don't fucking like it, take a hike. When was the last time you heard someone say take a hike? Take a motherfucking hike. Because, you know, if you don't like me, if you come for me, if you come with victim mentality, I don't give a fuck, because that is not how I'm choosing to live. That is your choice. And if you want to live like that, you know, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. You know what I mean? And so how are you showing up in the world, and how are you serving your highest self? I don't think a lot of us really think about how we're serving our highest self. That is where, when we talk about ambituals, right? It's like these daily things that all of my women throughout my ambitious movement do every day. They have these very clear-cut, concise things that they do every day to set their day up for success, right? And during this Mercury retrograde, this is an amazing time to slow the fuck down and be like, okay, what are my ambituals? How am I showing up in the world? How am I serving my highest self? How am I connecting with divine source energy? How am I being the best for myself? Not the best mother and wife and friend and worker and coworker and colleague and all these things. Who are you to you? How are you showing up for you? Because here's the deal. If you're showing up every fucking day for other people and you're not showing up for yourself, I don't fucking trust you. I don't fucking trust you. There's an old African proverb that says, never trust a naked man that offers you a shirt. Let me say it again. Never trust a naked man that offers you a shirt. I see all of these people showing up and they're trying to be coaches and they're trying to be mentors and they're trying to, be fitness people. They're trying to be all these things and they're not even doing the fucking things for themselves. And then they're like, I don't know why I'm so broke. I don't know why my relationships suck. I don't know why this sucks. I don't know why I'm fat. I don't know why I don't have any friends. I don't know why I'm surrounded by a bunch of idiots. Because you're a fucking idiot. You aren't even doing the things for yourself that are going to propel your life forward. And during this Mercury retrograde, it is the best time to do this work because, like I said before, we start our Mercury in Libra and we end it in Virgo, right? So we start our Mercury retrograde in Libra and we end it in Virgo. What are those energies? Virgos, my husband's one, okay? His birthday's September 5th. Virgos, what they do is they're pragmatic. They're like planners. They look down the road at the big picture. Like my husband's so fucking annoying. Like I'm an Aquarius, so I'm just like, la, 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 la. Like I'm just like, fly by the seat of your pants. Feels good on my asshole. And my husband's like, whoa. Like he'll grab me by the butthole and he'll be like, sit the fuck down. You're freaking me out. You're not thinking this through. You're going crazy. You're going 10 steps ahead. Let's sit down and let's plan this out. And I'm like, fuck you, Matt. And he's like, but we compromise. And he actually grounds me in a lot of ways. And then when the Libra stuff comes in, it's all about balance. Like, I don't believe that balance is a real thing. I actually think, like, when people are like, you need work-life balance. You're either working and launching and doing what the fuck you're doing, or you're, like, chilling. There's kind of like no in between. And that's just my personal opinion. And that's why I am as successful as I am, because I work when I work and I play when I play and I rest when I rest. And I'm not like doing it all together. Like when those people are like, oh, I'm just going to go to Cabo and like bring my laptop and work the whole time. Like that makes me want to literally, finger myself with a knife. Like, ew, I don't want to do that. I want to lay on the fucking beach. I want to drink margaritas. I want to bang my husband. Like that's what I want to do. Right? And Libra is all about balance. So it's like you have to ask yourself, like, where do you need more balance? But maybe it's about, and I'm channeling this, maybe it's about just like letting yourself just be whatever the fuck you're going to be and stop judging yourself all the time. And like I said before, if you had really clear-cut, concise habituals, that things that you do every day that set you up for success, you probably wouldn't feel like a bag of smashed assholes every day. Right? Just saying. So, okay, let's also talk about, I had some notes here that I'm just reading so I don't go too far because I like to go mental. So some more questions to ask yourself are you on course? Are you on course? Am I showing up every day and speaking my truth? For so long, in the last 2.5 years, I was not showing up and speaking my truth because I was like afraid to be judged and I didn't want to be canceled. And I was just trying not to like contribute to the noise. And I didn't really have much to say because I myself was in survival mode in a lot of ways. And so was my family and my business and the people around me, right? And now it's like, I have to really say to myself, like, if you don't speak your truth, how the fuck can you ask any of your clients or anybody that you work with or even are friends with or in your life to speak their truth? So ask yourself, are you showing up every day and are you in your power? Are you on course and are you speaking your truth? And the other thing that I really want you to ask yourself, because this is all about communication, is ask yourself, like, am I a good listener? And do I hold special sacred space for others? I want to give you a little tip that my online business manager, Kim Fox, taught me a couple weeks ago. And I just thought that this was just like the most prolific shit I ever heard in my life. So clean the fucking potatoes out of your ears and listen up. She said to me, she was talking about someone that always calls her and bitches and complains about their lives. And, Kim is just like so loving and so kind. She listens to me bitch sometimes too. And she said to me, I would get on the phone with this person and I would give them all this advice, and then they just were assholes, which are people who ask for your advice and then they never follow through and do what, the advice that you gave them. And she said, and it was burning me out and it was making me feel so it was a one-sided relationship. I was just drained every time I spoke to this person. Like I didn't feel good after I got off the phone with this person. And I realized like I am the problem. Like I'm the one that's contributing to this really toxic one-sided relationship. So she said to me, listen to this. She said to me, this is so good. She said to me, I said to them one day when they had called me and they were going on their whole rant, do you want my advice Or do you just want to vent and I will hold space for you with no advice? And she said it stopped this person in their tracks because they didn't even know how to answer this question. So I'm here to say to you, maybe a great practice during the next month of Mercury retrograde is when you have those, people, those relationships that call you and they drain you and they say, and then like they're like, I gotta go. Like the kids just got home from school and I just fucked you in the ass with no lube. Maybe ask them, hey, like the last couple conversations we had, you vented a lot, and I feel like I've given you this like advice and you haven't taken it. So I love you. I want to hold space for you. Do you want me just to hold space for you to vent without any kind of reciprocation, or do you actually desire my advice? And let the person answer it and just watch their fucking head explode and like smoke come out of their ears and like Skittles pop out of their eyes, because they probably won't even know how to answer that question because they've never had anyone call them to the carpet like that. And this is all about communication, which is what Mercury is all about, right? Then what's the communication like with yourself? Like, do you listen and trust your own intuition? So many of you, and this is what I teach in, my A28P protocol, my Ambitchious Academy, my Ambitchious mentorship, is you have this divine sacred intuition that God has gifted you with, and you're not fucking using it. And the biggest and most important communication that you can have with the world is the communication that you have with yourself, your higher self, right? So ask yourself, how is your communication with yourself, and are you trusting your intuition, right? And are the thoughts in my head that I think are real, are the thoughts in my head actually me? Or are they like, as Florence Scovel Shinn calls them, the army of the aliens? It's like this dark, low vibrational frequency energy that can penetrate into your auric field because you're not protecting yourself. One of the most important things about being ambitious is doing all of your protection rituals every day, which I do every day. Every day. I cord cut and I freaking cloak my titties off. And you will never catch me not doing that. But like, are these like thoughts in your head? It's like, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this enough. Why would even this person like me? All this shit that we talk about. And it's not even us. It's enemy energy coming in. Are the thoughts really us? Right? And is that voice, no matter what the conclusion is that voice, is it hindering you or is it helping you? Okay. And I'm going to do a whole entire podcast about Mercury retrograde because just Mercury retrograde in general, because Mercury goes retrograde 3 to even sometimes 4 times a year, depending on like what year we're in, right? We actually have a Mercury retrograde like this Mercury retrograde, and we also have one that is going from December into January of 2023. So like this happens, 3 to 4 times a year. So these are really good like reset times where you can take us kind of a step back and, have like a cosmic do-over, right? Retrograde, right? So think of all of the words in the English language that have RE in the front of them, right? Like reinvent, redo, recalibrate, like all these different words. That is what you should be doing during Mercury retrograde. So I'm just going to throw some things out to you that are just going to be just some like random things that you should do and not do during Mercury retrograde. So don't gossip during Mercury retrograde, because anything that you say, even if it's just like harmless or whatever, it's going to come back and it's going to bite you in the clitoris. Not the ass, the clitoris, okay? It's going to come back and bite you. So no gossip, no making uber important decisions, right? Like this is not a time to get engaged. This is not a time to be getting married. If you are getting married, don't worry about it. If you are getting engaged, don't worry about it. Like what will happen down the road is you'll have to just make some little adjustments. But this is just for the future, right? So don't make important decisions. Don't make like real super concrete plans, right? Like this is not the time to be like, I'm going to open a business. Like, no, this is a time to get quiet. And like I said before, like really hone what the next step is for you. So great question, Angela. It goes from September 9th to October 2nd. So Mercury retrogrades can last between like 2.5 to even 4 weeks, just depending on the retrograde itself. And then like, no signing like massive contracts. Like this is not a time to be like closing on a home or buying commercial real estate or really expensive purchases. Like don't be going out and buying a Bentley, you know, don't be going out and buying a third home, you know. Make sure that you check all of your like documents, like that, you know, the old adage, like cross your T's and dot your I's, because again, communication is key. Now, what if something happens and you do something and like, you know, down the road, you're like, fuck, I did this during Mercury retrograde. You will have to go back and you'll have to make addendums to what you do. So for example, a contract that you signed during Mercury retrograde might fall through after, and it might have to be, you know, reestablished or rectified, right? Even like little things like text messages won't go through. You can book travel, but just know that when you travel during Mercury retrograde, you have to give yourself like a huge time to travel. So for example, like if you were traveling during Mercury retrograde, like give yourself, like if you're going to the airport, you know, don't be coming in the airport, you know, like friggin' Home Alone, like Catherine O'Hara, like Kevin, like running through the thing, like run, Rudolph, because that's what will happen. Every time I have to travel or do anything like that during Mercury retrograde, I give myself like a buffer time, like an extra hour or two, because that's when like, you know, there'll be car accidents on the way to the airport. Yeah, booking tickets are fine, but just know like the travel stuff, that's the real issue, because Mercury is the planet of travel and it's the planet of communication and it's the contracts, anything like that, verbal and written. It's also not a time to have, I know this is kind of crazy, but it's also a time not to have elective surgery. Elective surgery is not good during Mercury retrograde. So like when I get my Botox and all those types of things, I do it after Mercury like leaves retrograde. Now, obviously, if you get in a fucking car accident and have to sew your leg back on, you can't be like, sorry, just let my leg go. It's Mercury retrograde. No, I'm not talking about elective surgery. Like this isn't a time to just be like, I'm going to get new titties. Now, if you made the appointment to get new titties, this is so three-dimensional, but I'm just saying it. If you made the appointment to get new titties before Mercury retrograde, it's okay. But if you're like in retrograde and you're like, I'm just going to go get some myself some new tits, don't do that, okay? What you should do during Mercury retrograde, back up your shit, like back up your computers, back up your phone, your iCloud, like all that crapola. You know, it's just boring shit. But this is like, remember, I don't know if you guys know this, but before I wrote my book, Ambitchious, I lost my whole entire manuscript. Guess when that was? During Mercury retrograde. And guess what? My laptop wasn't backed up properly, and I lost the whole entire 40,000 word manuscript. Now, obviously, I'm grateful for what happened because my book came out 1,000 times better than that piece of shit manuscript that I had written in the first place. But guess what? I was like a lunatic for like a month after I lost my manuscript. So back up your shit, back up your phones, back up your pictures. Be very clear, cut, and concise when you're communicating. So like, you know how like when someone texts you and you're like, ooh, that was kind of cunty. But she didn't even mean to be cunty. She was just like in the grocery line and her kid was like tugging on her to like buy friggin' Mentos. And she's like, stop it, Bobby. And then she's like, yup. You're like, oh my God, she hates me. She's rude. And she's really just having a moment. So make sure that all of your text messages, your emails, even the words that you speak are clear, cut, and concise. Obviously, like I said before, if you're traveling, give yourself extra buffer time because there will be drama, there will be layovers. It's kind of like that Murphy's Law type of time, right? Be very aware of like the things that you have when you are going places. Like this is the time where people like lose their glasses and their phone in the cab. Like Mercury retrograde is literally like the time for that, right? Like you get to the airport, you're like, fuck, I forgot my passport, right? Or, you know, you get out of your Uber and like you leave your phone or you don't have your ID and, you know, like little stupid things like that. So just be very aware of all of the things. Taking new jobs during this time. It's not really the best time to like go out and job hunt. Because, you know, like with every job, you probably have some kind of contractual agreement. That is actually why, for A28P, our signups close on September 8th. But for A28P, I don't sell during Mercury retrograde. So for the whole month of Mercury retrograde, I'm not actively selling anything because I take my contracts and taking money from people extremely seriously. And I don't want people doing that under this energy. So like I sent out emails today to people on my Ambitchious 28-day protocol waiting list. And I was like, yo, girl, the wait list closes on Thursday, whether it's sold out or not. And people are like, you know, I have so many business friends that are like, you're crazy. Like, you should always be selling. And I'm like, no, I take this shit so seriously that I just don't do it, right? So I'm not just sitting here saying this to you guys. Like, I actually really mean this, right? And this is a great time to like organize and purge and clean and just like get all your ducks in a row. You may even find like lost items like during a retrograde. Like you're like, oh my God, I found my diamond earrings, or I found that cross that my grandmother gave me when I was a little girl or whatever. And I thought it was lost, you know, and you'll find it in the craziest of places. It's just the energy of Mercury retrograde. And it's a great time to like donate your stuff. So like after you purge and everything, like sell it on Poshmark, or, you know, give it to the Salvation Army or whatever the hell. I don't know what you guys give your clothes away to, but you know what I'm saying? Like purge your shit and like re-gift it. Give yourself time and space to breathe, to really hone in on your spiritual practices and take serious time for self-care. And then, like I was saying before, all the R words, right? So like redo, redesign, reinvest, rejuvenate, reassess, revisit, reinvent, and perfect or repeat. And just an FYI to you guys, sometimes like old annoying ass motherfuckers will come out of the woodwork and rear their ugly head during Mercury retrograde, like old boyfriends, old friends, old colleagues. Like it's just a time of like Snoopy stalker energy. So just, you know, be on the lookout for that kind of energy. Okay. So purge, organize, clean. You're speaking my love language. Me too. I am obsessed with cleaning. You guys know I'm an OCD bitch. I'm psychotic. But even, you know, during this time, will do that. Like my husband is going away for a work trip, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get all like my spooky like Halloween stuff out and like start like decorating and like organize my stuff, and just like it just feels good during this time to do that. So take this time over the next, you know, almost a month, and really take this time to do all the things that I said, and just like watch your language, like watch your shit. Don't get crunk. Like listen to the words that I'm saying. Like I'm not showing up here for my good looks. I'm showing up here because I believe so deeply that this is so important to really use like what our ancestors did. Like our great grandmothers, like this is how they rolled. They knew when things were changing. They went by the solstices. They went by the lightness and the darkness of the days and the length of the days and where the stars were in the sky and what the moon was doing. Like that's what our ancestors did. And we over time have lost that. And for a lot of us, if you do have the witch wound, you had that burned and beaten and tortured out of you in your old ancestry, in your old DNA, and it still is with you today. So take this time to really like get reacquainted, if you will. There's the R word again. Reacquaint yourself with Mother Nature and the stars and the cosmos and Mother Moon and, you know, what the planets are doing. Because, you know, if we're made of like, 80% water, and the moon affects the tides, why wouldn't it affect us? And that gives me a great way to parlay into the next thing that's happening is the moon is actually going to be full as fuck this weekend, okay? This moon is actually in Pisces, and it's going to be the most spiritual moon of the whole entire year. And this is also the harvest moon. This is a time when we harvest our vegetables and we start to, you know, people in the olden days, that's when they started to harvest their stuff, and they would turn over their soil for the, you know, the next year, and they would get ready and they would can and they would, you know, stockpile food for the winters and all that stuff. So obviously we don't have to really do that anymore because we're living in modern time, but it's like, I do that because it makes me feel connected to my ancestors. It helps me feel connected to my true authentic self. Like I desire to be self-sufficient. Like I don't want to fucking rely on the government and, you know, Whole Foods to feed me. Like that is not my jam. So let's go back to the old ways, right? And this is the call of this Piscean full moon that's saying, go back to the ancient ways that you know will help you live your most ambitious life. And, I talk about this to literally, I'm blue in the face and still people don't listen. But you have to understand there's worth and there's value in what I'm saying, because so many people come to me and they're like, I want to live a life like yours. I'm not saying my life, but like mine, right? They desire to have a very successful business and a great relationship with their significant other and freedom and time freedom and financial freedom and divine connection and health and all the things that I talk about in Ambitchious, right? But they don't want to fucking do the things that it takes to do the do. And this is really the time during this full moon is to say to yourself, like, what are the things that I'm not doing that I know are going to get me that 1% life? Because I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it because I'm that bitch. If you're not living the life that you desire, it's no one's fault but your own. Because there is a never-ending plethora, cornucopia, abundance of information that will help you go to the next level, and you're not taking it. You're just not. So you talk about it and you complain about it, but you don't do the things that it takes to get you to that place. And this full moon is the time to do the do. It's time to step back during the retrograde, during the full moon, and say, okay, what are the things that I have to do to become the person that I desire to be? And write them down. Warren Buffett, who is, a huge mentor of mine, he's in his late 80s, he's a multi-billionaire, and he still goes to work every fucking day. Like, he just is driven. And one of the things that he says, and maybe you guys can do this weekend, maybe this will kind of help you, is he says, okay, sit down with a notebook, journal, piece of paper, and write like 20 to 30 things that are your goals, dreams, aspirations. And make them big, right? Like, make them grandiose. Don't say, oh, I desire to make $100,000. Say, I desire to make 7 figures, like I desire to get married. No, I desire to marry the person of my dreams that I know I deserve. Like, make it grandiose, right? And let's just say at the end of the time that you just free write and you just pour it all out on a pen to paper and you look at those 20, 30 things. Then he says to do, and I've done this before, and this has helped me become as successful as I am and is helping me become even more successful as I go, is he says, take those 20 to 30 things, now circle 5 things that are your top 5 goals, and then take the rest of those goals, the 20, 25, whatever, and just throw them away. Don't think about them, don't act on them, don't speak about them, don't breathe about them, don't dream about them. Just focus on those 5 goals and give yourself, a timeline to do it, right? Because Parkinson's law is like, if you don't give yourself a timeline, like, work will expand to the nothingness that you've created, right? So if you don't say, okay, I'm going to do these 5 things in the next 5 years, you're going to be 100 years old and you're going to be like, I wish I could still become the woman that I thought I would be. But now I'm dead. Okay? Like, come on. And the thing is like, so many people think that they have time and that they're immortal, but y'all are going to die. I'm going to die. You're going to die. We're all going to fucking die. And that is inevitable. And that is the truth. I'm not being morbid. I'm being serious. So if you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 years to complete these 5 audacious goals, and that's all you think about, and that's all you work towards, and that's all you talk about and dream about and scheme about, and your whole life is about it, you will do it. I promise you, because I've done it. I've done it numerous times, and I've been doing this Warren Buffett's thing for years, and it helps me immensely, okay? So I'm not going to get into any baby witch shit of what you should be doing from the full moon, because I have so many videos on my app about that. If you have not joined my app, my link is in the bio of my Instagram. You can also join my app by going to www.kbmfc.com or www.ambitchiousacademy.com or bitchapalooza.com or any of these types of things. And you can join the community there. You can also go to my podcast, and the link to join my app is there as well. And you can watch all kinds of amazing videos that I've already done about what to actually do on the full moon, no matter what is happening with the full moon. Okay, so I'm not going to get into baby witch shit. This is more just a channeled message about Mercury Retrograde and what you should be doing, and how your mindset should be over the next, 4 weeks. Okay? So listen, no matter what, time is going to keep marching on. So why not make the rest of your life the best of your life? Like, what is the fucking alternative? To be a mediocre, basic, average bitch? No, thank you. Everyone here was meant to live an ambitious life. I don't care who you are, where you come from, and what your background is. Everyone was put on this earth to live life ambitiously, and it's up to you to do that, okay? I love you all, and in the meantime, stay ambitious. Or not. You can just keep being mediocre, and that's fine with me. No sweat off my ass. Mwah. Bye.